From West USA Realty, this is Don't Do That with managing broker Bob Stevens, aka Broker Bob. What do you have for us today, Bob?
Hello, folks. Glad to be here today. We got some important stuff, I think. Some things you haven't heard about yet, anyway. One of the things that I have first here, Tina Tambor does a program the same time I'm doing this. So when I get done with this, then I turn over to her program and listen to the rest of it. But that's the Cromford Report. And one of the things she said the last time I listened to her here, that 34% of the homes that are selling are going over asking price. So you know what you got to do when you get out there. You've got to be competitive. And some of the things that folks do to be competitive are amazing here. We'll speak of some of that too. And by the way, October 6th, so Dean Becker tells us, is the $500 fine starts. If you don't put your listings in within 1 day after you've put them on Facebook or whatever you've done with them, advertise them in any way, you've got 1 day to get it into MLS. And these $500 fines are coming down because a lot of people are messing with the numbers, I suppose. And so don't forget that, because $500 is a lot of money. And that comes right into the broker, then has to collect it or get after you to pay it. So let's make sure that we take care of that when you need to. Here's something that West USA did here that I thought was interesting. Well, very interesting, very nice. They joined up with Knock, West USA and Knock. The smart way to buy before you sell. Well, that sometimes is a problem. Like, I'd like to buy something myself, but I got to sell this one that I live in order to buy the next. So that's one of those things that most everybody has to do. And so they've got a system here. And as a matter of fact, I'll read you some of it here. No fees for agents. So agents won't be paying any fees to use this. You got more closings and you get more listings. And of course, if you sell them a house before they sell theirs, that's what everybody wants. Because everybody got to have a place to stay. So that's why you got to have a house. Cost savings. Clients don't need to move twice. That's the good part of it. So take a look at that. It's really a good program, and it's on our dashboard or on West USA somewhere in there, and you'll find it. Now here's an offer that came in with a escalation clause. Although it doesn't even say escalation clause, they added it in on item number 8, additional terms and conditions. And one of the ladies asked me to take a look at this, and I'm glad that I did, because I saw a couple things I did not like there. Now this starts out this way: in the event of competing offers, buyers will pay $1,000 over the highest offers net, up to a purchase price of $285. In the event of an escalation, sellers provide proof of competing purchase contract with the pre-qual form or proof of funds. Seller and seller's agent represent and warrant that competing offers are true and valid offers. Well, yeah. And then there's some stuff here about in the event of a low appraisal. So that was the issue, the low appraisal. And I don't think our agent had seen that up there, where they're going to pay $1,000 over the highest offers net. Well, wait a minute. That isn't what the important thing is every time. the net. So I did not like that word net, and I said, you need to take that out of there because we're not going to tell anybody our net or any of this stuff. It just goes by price here because, you know, if you got 8 offers and the seller likes the one that's the lowest, they like the one that's the lowest, they can accept that. They don't have to take the highest offer. It's just the way it is. It's their house. And I remember one time that happened many years ago, and the people said, well, we just really like the kids, those little kids that these people had, and we don't care about the price. We're going to give it to these little kids here. They need this place. They liked it. So they took a low offer. That's okay. It's, as I said, it's their house. Well, then it says in the event of a low appraisal, buyer to pay up to $7,500 over appraised value. Any additional amount paid by buyer not to exceed purchase price. And so that caused some issues there. So that's why we're going to go over some things here to make this easy for you. So there is a, let's see, it's over on the right side there somewhere. It's called handouts. I hope you got those out of there. I don't know that you did or not, but I have the 3 different things there that I'd like to go through. And if you can just get those out of there and print them off, then it'll be easy to do because I've got them marked in red. What I want to speak about in a couple of the pages there. We're going to talk about the additional clause addendum. But while you're busy seeing if you can get those out, and maybe you've already got them out, I don't know. Let me take a look at something else here. Here's one of the gals that called me up. She says she sold a house to her sister and she wants to cancel already. So I sent over a Benzer that said she didn't like the house, and I didn't read the Benzer, so I don't know what it said, but it's already been sent over. And so the people on the other side said, well, what is it they don't like about the house? And one thing you need to know is to take a look at and write this down, line 264 on the contract. It says when you cancel, it's the buyer's sole discretion, whatever it is, unless it's changing your mind, you can't do that. You can't say, well, we don't think we can afford it, or different things. Don't say anything like that because you're going to lose your earnest money. Sole discretion. The best one of all is to say it needs too many repairs. I think that just fits wonderful. Well, what repairs, they may say on the other side? Well, it doesn't matter. And you can do the inspection yourself. You walk through it and you say, I don't like these things here. And you don't need to have an inspector inspect it. You can have yourself inspect it. The buyers say, I don't like that. Too many repairs is the easiest way to put it. And you don't have to explain it because your sole discretion on that. So I wonder how that one worked out for the agent. I'm not sure yet, but maybe she'll call me. The other one that I got here that bothers me, one of the gals, she got a counter to her buyer. And in this counter here, she took it and presented it to her buyer. Apparently there was a 3% commission being paid as a co-broke here, and we have the buyer. So it says West USA's commission to be 2%. Buyer and seller agreed to that. And do they get to agree to that? No, they don't have anything to do with that money. That's the other broker that said we're going to pay us 3% to go find a buyer. So that's the one that has to agree to it, and also our broker has to agree to it. and we won't agree to anything unless you have agreed to it. So it's something that's got to be done in a different manner. So this wasn't working. And I told her to email the lister and the buyer of what the truth is here, and that you're rejecting that this broker on the other side is going to pay what he's supposed to pay. So that was kind of a fun one. I wonder how she turned out on that. And one of the other people here, there was a couple of lock boxes on a house, and they weren't armless lock boxes, and we didn't put them on there. And now they're complaining over the other side that they want those lock boxes taken off. We can't take them off. We don't know anything about them. And they're not armless lock boxes, so we can't get in them or do anything. And so the only thing to do there, if the seller's gone or whatever the deal, if for some reason the seller couldn't come back and take them off, so you just take bolt cutters or something and clip them off of there. Well, that's the way to settle an issue like that, but I don't know where they went with that. They were going to call me back and argue with me about it, but nothing ever happened. Here's another fellow, which you got to be careful of this. This is a tough one. He sold a new home. The buyers qualified for the price of the new home as it stood there, the model home, as it was standing. So they were just right. They were just right in there. Well, now it's time for closing. Well, there's just one thing that's holding it back. They went to the design center and added another 50 large on top of that. That's $50,000. Now they do not qualify. So what are you going to do about that? Well, there isn't anything you can do about it except call the broker over there on the other side and see if they'll cancel this deal because they don't qualify. Of course, you know, new home builders, their contracts don't provide for not qualifying because they qualify it before they write it up. But they, for some reason, they fell out of step here and allowed them to put on another $50,000. Well, they can't make it there. I wonder how that one turned out. That was just last Friday. So I don't know if they'll make it out of there and lose their earnest money or what's going to happen on that one. Oh, somebody dropped the ball in there somewhere. Now here's another one. Somebody called me up and says, I want the appraisal wording here. How do we word this appraisal thing here? She's making a counteroffer on a property. So I said, well, it's her listing. And so if you got your paperwork out there, we're going to look at the additional clause addendum. So she had called and wanted some wording from me so that she could make a counteroffer on this. Well, this stuff is already written up for you here in this additional clause addendum. I think this is pretty good stuff here. And there's a lot of agents don't know about it. I get them every week. Somebody doesn't know where they can find this. It's in the zip forms. I'm finding a lot of people that still have zip forms like I do, but it's in there. You can find it. Additional clause addendum, and we have the waiver of the appraisal down here. Buyer agrees to waive the appraisal contingency. That's the contingencies that's in the contract. And here's the best part of it. In the event that the premises fail to appraise for at least the sales price, buyer agrees that buyer's down payments shall be increased in an amount equal to the difference between the appraised value and the purchase price. Well, that's who knows? Who knows where you're going to go with that one? But there's the wording for it. You just make a little X there. That's all you do, and make it a counter offer. But let's start at the top of this thing. It says backup contract. A lot of people could go into backup positions on these properties because not all of them fly through. They don't all close. But a backup contract is a good place to be. And it says in here, different things here, but it says upon buyer's receipt of written notice of the cancellation of the prior contract, buyer shall open escrow and buyer shall deposit any required earnest money. So you see, when you get in a backup position, you don't have to put any earnest money in. You're just in the backup position. Well, what if they change their mind, go along maybe 3 weeks, and he said, you know, we'd want to do this. Well, they don't have any earnest money in there, but then at the bottom of this thing, on line 15, it says buyer may cancel this backup contract anytime prior to receipt of seller's notice of cancellation of prior contract. So that gives you the out right there. You're gone. You don't have to worry about it. Nothing happens until you've been accepted in that, from that backup position to the primary position on this property. Something to think about. This, I always like the backup contract. It's very good. There's all the other things here. Signature of an absent buyer, spouse, or co-buyer. That's something that's needs to be talked about too, because you may have to deliver a disclaimer deed to the escrow company. So you need to know about that in case one of them is not going to be on that contract. Then we have the corporate relocation approval, and some of these things have to be signed. It's a referral type thing, so there's the wording for it, so you've got it right by you so you can take care of it. Well, that's 3 of these things. Then the non-refundable earnest money. Oh my goodness, some of the agents write non-refundable earnest money. Well, that's got to be written in a certain way. You've got to be careful how you write that. The earnest money shall be non-refundable unless buyer elects to cancel pursuant to the repairs and stuff like that. But then the buyer acknowledges that buyer's earnest money shall be non-refundable. Well, that's all right. That's what you're trying to achieve here. Even if the premises fail to appraise for the sales price or the loan contingency is unfulfilled, unless otherwise prohibited by federal law, and that would be your FHA or VA situation there. So you see, that takes a couple of those stop gaps out because he's still got contingencies in the contract, but that pulls them out of there. The non-refundable earnest money, they wrote this up the right way. So always remember to go to this additional clause addendum because it's good stuff in there. Then we waiver of appraisal. And a lot of the agents are writing up that they're waiving the appraisal on these things. Well, that's okay. Buyer agrees to waive the appraisal contingency. The contingency is what we're talking about in the contract, pursuant to the financing section of the contract. Buyer agrees that down payment shall be increased in an amount equal to the difference. So this is the way you should write some of these things. It's already been figured out by a committee, and they usually have 24 of them working down there at AAR, and they have lawyers in there too. So they make sure that this stuff is done right. And I liked working on those committees down there, and I did several of them, but having a lawyer there that can lay it out for you is even better. Then we have the all cash sale appraisal contingency. And when you have that, it's contingent upon an appraisal of the premises for at least the purchase price. But sometimes they mess around, and they don't get that appraisal soon enough. And then it says here on line 41, in all cases, this appraisal contingency shall expire 20 days after contract acceptance. So this is something that needs to get it done. But in a lot of cases, you can't get an appraisal in 20 days. So you need to watch out for that. And you might add in the other line there, you might add that shall be, let's say, 30, 40 days after contract acceptance. You could change that number in there. Otherwise, you're liable to lose your earnest money or something. And a lot of folks say, what do we do about an appraisal? Who pays for that? Well, I don't know. Who does pay for it? It's negotiable. But here it is, right here on line 45. This looks like some good stuff. A survey, and it talks all about it here. This is several lines of this. If you want a survey, sometimes the posts are out there in the fields or wherever you're going, but if you really want to be accurate and pay for an appraisal or a survey, and what do they cost? I don't know. You have to call and find out from the survey people, a licensed surveyor, what it costs to do one of these. This is all really interesting. These are things you learn as you go along, but it took quite a few years to finally get this additional clause addendum in here, and I'm glad they got it in there. Then you've got the 1031 exchange. All the words for you are right there. Usually you got to use these words and put it into your contract, but you don't now. You make a little X there, bang, you got it. 1031 tax deferred exchange. And the water thing, I've not seen anything come in that had the water thing on it, but I'm sure there must be contracts from time to time where that's an issue. Got to sign that. So that's the additional clause addendum. It's very, very good to have. Next thing was the multiple counteroffers. Oh my goodness, we're going crazy on those things. Get several offers and you make multiple counteroffers out of all of them. Well, not necessarily. You might take a look at it and it just wouldn't work. That some of these people don't look like they can even qualify because of the paperwork that's been turned in. There may be issues where you would only make a multiple counteroffer on, say, 3 of them or 2. But here's the thing you do. You put in the multiple counteroffers, send them out there, and they're not really valid until the seller signs them again. So just make sure that that is understood by you as you're reading these things. Excuse me while I take a drink. Oh. So you've got these 2 pages here, buyer response, buyer acceptance. The buyer may not accept your multiple counteroffer and may have a different response and put an additional counteroffer, and that's what I have in my other hand here, and change things. And it's no good until that's signed too. So these are very interesting pieces of paper, and you should take time. Take time to read these things because they got a lot of stuff in there. And I don't know if you have any questions on this on these things as we go along. I think they're pretty clear. So you would have multiple counter offers, 2 pages, and then there's a counter offer. I'd throw that in the package so you've got it there ready to go. So you got 3 in case you're going to counter a counter that came from the multiple counter offer. That may be. So you need to have those papers there. And then something we worked on many years ago, as a matter of fact, myself and a lady named Linda, we worked on this quite a bit. Multiple offers and counter offers. This is tough. If you're going to make multiple offers, and I have said this before, I had one guy that made 30 offers all at one time, and nobody knew about the other offers. So I found out about it, and I asked him, what are you going to do if they all accept? Because he clearly didn't have the paperwork there. He says, oh, I'll just cancel the other 29 and take one. Can't do that. That's not disclosure. That's not letting people know what's going on. That's not, no, we're not going to do that. So him and I had a pretty serious discussion about that. And then myself and Linda, we worked on multiple offer, counter offer, because she had put one together and thought it might work out. And so I helped her with it. And we got a pretty good one together. And then finally they got it in zip forms. But of course, changing some of it with the lawyers and everybody helping out. Well, that was that. And then one other thing I wanted to remind you of is mobile homes. If you're doing any of those, there is a mobile home contract, and you can't find it anywhere. I think maybe it might be on AAR online somewhere, but I have it here in my computer if you ever need that mobile home contract. Also other info about mobile homes that I'm happy to send to you. Just easy to do. So that's something. It's actually, I spent about a half an hour with a fellow the other night. He did not have a clue. He had the actual house contract, and he was trying to write up a mobile home. I said, no, wait a minute. Wait, I got the stuff for you. And we worked together for quite a while there, a half hour one night, and then some more on the next day, and got this thing together for him. So I'm glad that he gave me a call. Now, only other thing here that I have at a couple minutes here, if I started to sell real estate again, what would I do? And the last time that I actually sold real estate as an agent was maybe 30 years ago. Then I transferred into management. I've written a lot of articles about it and everything, but I would start on selling new homes. Get out there and find out what there is to know about new homes. And on Fridays in the newspaper, they've got where they're at, all of them. 4 different areas of the valley where you find new homes. And I would have a portfolio. I would know exactly what's in these places, have paperwork on it so that you could work that market. Because the only thing you have to do there is take your person in there and get them signed in, and then you will be paid, and you don't have to write the contract. You're just a person that gives them moral support, helps them out, and perhaps tells them don't go to the design center and spend $50,000 unless you can afford the 50 large, because it won't work. And you usually will get paid about 3% for the referral over on the thing. So that would be where I would go, because there's nothing to sell in the marketplace much out there. Few listings, but if you go to new homes, they'll build you one. So that's what I would do, and there's some that are ready to go right now. So that's it for me today. I'm going to tune in Tina and see what she's got to say here for the last half hour. And I thank you. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Bye-bye.